There we go. So, sort of two parts of this evening's chat. One being just chatting through kit and equipment, and the other being talking about Leave No Trace and how as kind of more blurred towards the Norway teams, how we're going to manage ourselves out in Lofoten to really kind of stick with the principles of leaving no trace, and everything we do will probably transfer to the Greenland teams. Pete and Ollie will have their own spin on things. I'm not saying what I'm saying is right, but they'll just spin the principles to what is right for you in Greenland. Obviously, you've got polar bears to worry about as well. Hopefully everyone read through the blog that I sent out yesterday from a colleague of mine in Scotland about packing boats. So that was a really, really, really good blog, and it was perfectly timed blog post for this evening, so that half of what I was going to present I don't have to because it was on that blog. So read through it again once we've gone through this evening, and you'll just sort of reflect on things slightly differently. But if you don't mind, I'm just going to share a screen, and hopefully you should see a kayak and some writing near it. Someone nod to say yes, you can see that. There we go. Cool. So Norway teams, you'll have received this. This is Johnny's packing list. Oh bless Johnny, we miss him. And this is what Johnny had packed for his round Cornwall trip. So 30 odd days of living out of his boat. And quite nicely, he split it into different hatches with a nice little graphic for us. We should have all received this via email before Christmas at some point. Team Greenland, if you want these things, just let me know, and we can get it to you. I don't know what Pete and Ollie have done with you, but we've got quite a lot of resources we use for Norway.
Yes, please, Dave.
Cool, yeah, I saw that, Pat. So Johnny's list is good, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip it over. Oh, how do I do this? There we go. I'm going to give you, can you see that? So this is my list, and I know each of the teams, I think before Christmas, we went down through these lists, and we had lots of questions. And I know we've talked about kit for a long time. Ollie will back me up with this. Whenever I go on a trip, I spend the first 2 months planning the trip, writing lists of kit. And I get really excited by it. But all I'm going to do is I'm just going to run down through each thing. And if there's any questions, just feel free to just ask them. Feel free to come off your mic and ask them. If you want to put questions into the chat box, feel free to do that if you're not sort of comfortable coming on to speak. And if you've got any questions that you want to ask anonymously, if you go into the chat function, you can ask me directly, and I will not name names. I will just say, here's a question from somebody. So that's doable. So can everyone see a kit list yet, or is everyone looking at something differently?
No, you're not sharing, I think.
Okay, cheers, Alice. Let's try that one. How's that? Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Perfect. So this is my kit list for Lofoten. It's in mind that I'm guiding, so there's a few things on there that you might not carry, but there's a few things on there as a team we'll share out as well. But it's kind of my initial kit list to go with the detail behind what type of tent and what type of sleeping bag we can discuss. But I'm just going to go down through it, and I can start with what I'm going to wear to go to paddling. Now I know Team Greenland, Pete and Ollie have said you're wearing dry suits. That's fine. Just substitute dry trousers and KAG for your dry suits. Team Norway's, I know we've chatted about it. If you've got dry suits and you want to wear them, you can. I'm going to wear dry trousers and a touring KAG. Just means I've got versatility, so I can paddle without a KAG if we get nice days, which every day is going to be a nice day. So paddling shoes, doesn't really matter what sort of shoes you wear, as long as they're not Crocs, as long as they're not flip-flops. Bear in mind that we might end up landing on some rocky beaches and having to carry our kit up some rocky beaches. So something with a good tread and a good bit of support is useful. but you know, it needs to be comfortable in boats. So I wouldn't wear a pair of hiking boots to paddle in, but I probably wouldn't wear a pair of do you remember those jelly shoes from when we were kids? Wouldn't wear those sort of things. Is everyone happy with paddling shoes? Anyone got any sort of want me to delve in a bit deeper into paddling shoes?
Yeah, I'm fine with that, I think.
Yeah, my top tip for everyone would be just either go a size up or take the insole out. Just gives you a bit more space in the shoe because my dry trousers have a built-in waterproof sock. I just need a bit of space for that. If not, it ends up sort of being a bit clamped inside my shoe, a bit cramped inside my shoe, and I get cold feet. That's my top tip for you. Then underneath, I'll wear socks, and I just tend to wear just a normal pair of socks. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive, just a normal pair of cheap Marks and Spencer's best socks. If it was cold, if I was going to Greenland, I might wear a warmer sock, but we're going somewhere really nice and warm. And it's going to be tropical. Then underneath, I'm going to wear some form of thermal layers. And I couldn't say what I'm going to wear now. I'm going to take a whole load of different different weights of thermal, whether it's lightweight or sort of more technical synthetic weight things. And every day I'll just put a different layer on, just to kind of deal with different temperature fluctuations. And it might even change at lunchtime if we're getting a sort of a warm afternoon. But I'll definitely wear some sort of, thermal bottoms, my pants, spray deck, toe lines. We'll all wear toe lines. I don't know about Greenland team, but Norway we'll all wear toe lines because we can all be helpful. And as part of the training weekends, we'll learn how to use the toe lines if we don't know already. I'll wear a vest, a thermal sock, then my CAG and my buoyancy aid, and that's it. Nothing extra. But I might wear a cap and things like that if it's sunny, and sunglasses. Is that new or crazy to anybody?
Yeah, on the dry trousers, Dave.
Yes, John.
Would you recommend those with the built-in socks, or those with latex seals around the ankles?
Latex seals are totally fine. I just really hate wet feet.
Okay.
That's my take. If you've got latex seals on your dry trousers, then that's totally fine.
No, I need to buy some. That's why.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think if I would, yeah, I'm definitely going to wear dry socks on my dry trousers, but yeah, I just can't stand wet feet. But in the summer, in the UK, if I'm kayaking, I'll probably just wear a pair of like you say, ones with an ankle seal on, and except I'm going to get wet feet, but it's only a day and I can go home. Whereas wet feet for kind of 6, 7, 8 days at a time, yeah, I can't stand it. But that's me.
Yeah, because we're suggesting that dry suits are a bit over the top for the length of time we'll be on the water, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean the water is cold, and if we were worried about immersion and being in the water, then we'd say yes to dry suits. But we're going to try everything we can to not be in situations where we're capsizing. And our rescue skills are going to be, as a team, our rescue skills are going to be such that you can get out of the water in a flash, and we'll get you warm again. That's kind of my plan. But I know, for example, Pete's got a dry suit. You're probably taking your dry suit, aren't you, Pete?
Who, me?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, I've gone down your road. I've bought a pair of dry trousers and a CAG, the one that you suggested. So just split it. But I think that's probably better because it could be quite warm, like you say, some days, couldn't it?
Great. There you go. My example gets thrown out the window. But definitely you're going to wear your dry suit, aren't you?
Sorry, are you talking to me?
No, Danny. She's either not listening or she's not unmuted herself. But that's okay. We'll move on. In my buoyancy aid, so my buoyancy aid's got pockets. I'm going to have a variety of things. Bear in mind, some of these things will be for me guiding. Some of these things will just be for my comfort throughout the day. Stuff that's in my pocket is really quickly accessible. I haven't got to go digging for it. So I'm going to have a compass there, nice and handy. That's more of a guide thing. Yeah, compass is handy. I rarely use it, but if I need it, at least it's there and in my pocket. I'll have my phone with me. I'm going to sort of go with the idea of taking lots of nice photos, but as Ollie knows, I won't. I'll probably use my phone more for navigation than anything else. I'll have a knife and a whistle. They just live in my buoyancy aid all the time. Then I'll carry a carabiner and a sling, just for extra bits if we need it, or to haul things or to tie things up, some repairs if need being. And that just lives in my buoyancy aid. And again, that's a guide thing. I'll carry a little repair patch. So it's called flash bands, like plumber's tapes, what they use to just stick on a pipe to fix a hole in a pipe. So if we do, unfortunately, get a hole in a boat, it's really easy from the water. I can just patch it nice and quickly, so we're not sinking. I've got nut key on there, so that's a climbing thing for getting nuts out of cracks when you're rock climbing. But nut keys are really handy for getting pebbles out of skeg boxes. So if the skeg gets jammed, I can just sort of get in there with a nut key and get any pebbles out. Because if you're on the water and your skeg's not working, it can be really dangerous. Then I'm going to carry with me, I'm going to carry VHF radio. The second guide will also carry a VHF radio. If you've got and you want to bring it. But as long as we've got a couple between our team, that's totally fine. PLBs, again, a couple of between our team. PLBs, personal locator beacon. That's pretty much kind of a little yellow box. If you press the button, it calls international rescue, and Thunderbird 4 comes and picks us up. Then I'll just carry some electrical tape, just some insulation tape. So for blisters on thumbs and things like that, sort of 5-6 days into salt water, your skin gets really soft, and blisters can ruin a day's paddling really, and ruin a whole trip. But if people are prone to blisters, we'll just preload with tape on kind of the more worn areas, and just prevent getting blisters. And I just carry that in my buoyancy aid. I'll also carry a flare with me, and as teams, we'll each carry an electronic flare. And Plaza Brennan have got them, and we'll just take them and dish them out. But again, if you've got your own, take them. Greenland team, I don't know what Ollie and Pete have got planned for you. You'll have to ask them. And I carry an energy gel in my pocket, so like a science and sport energy gel. That's more for me mid-afternoon, so I don't get hangry. I can just have a little boost of energy before we get to camp. So when someone says to me, "Oh, I can't find my whatever," my reply is a little bit more courteous than curt. Everyone happy with what's in buoyancy aids? Everyone happy with what they're going to sort of take in their buoyancy aids? There's some stuff that you might put in your buoyancy aid. I don't, because I'm going to take a deck bag on my boat. For those that don't know what a deck bag is, essentially it's a bag that straps to the front of your boat, just in front of your cockpit, with either a zip or a seal of some sort, and you can just get bits out. So things like sun cream, my sunglasses, lip balm, they'll live in there. If I didn't have a deck bag, they would live in my buoyancy aid. So in my deck bag, I'm going to have a hat, a woolly hat, a baseball cap, and a pair of some pogies. Again, those that don't know, pogies are mittens that go over your hand and your paddle, and a nice insulation for your hand. Hopefully we won't need them, but last time I was in Lofoten, I was wearing, in the morning, I think I was just wearing a t-shirt to paddling, and then about 4 in the afternoon, I had every layer I could possibly wear, plus pogies, and I was still a little bit cold. So quickly accessible, so if it does get a little bit cold or the wind switches on the water, they're there and I can get them. But equally, neoprene gloves work well as well. Sunglasses.
Sorry, Dave, have you got any recommendations regarding or things to look at in choosing a deck bag?
No, you can spend anything from about 30 quid to 200 quid.
Yeah.
I've got the £200 one, and it's no better than the 30 quid one, to be honest with you.
Okay.
What I'll do is I'll just put a link to a few on the WhatsApp group if you want.
No, that'd be good. Yeah, that'd be nice. Thank you.
I'll give you the 3 options. I'll give you a bargain basement option, a middle ground, and the kind of the bee's knees option, and then you can research and choose from there.
Okay, mate. Cheers. Thank you.
What else is in my deck bag? Storm cag. So that's essentially it's an extra large waterproof poncho that I can, if we stop and it's a bit cold or it's windy, I can just put it on top of everything, and at least the wind's off me. Or if it gets cold on the water or someone's just fallen in, and we just need to kind of trap some of that body heat in that we've built up from paddling, someone can just put it on. I don't know about Team Greenland if you're all taking them. Team Norway, if we want to all take them, we can. I'm going to have mine. But they are handy. Peak UK make quite a good one that Ollie and I have got. I don't know how much it is. I think with our deal, it's probably going to be about 50 quid maybe. Ollie's going to find the price for us now while I'm talking. And then I'm just going to take sun cream face stick, which is kind of a more of a sunblock than sun cream, just for sort of the face. It's the stuff that surfers wear. Lip balm and then sun cream lip balm. I'm just really affected by the sun from the water, and I'm out on it every day. So I need to look after my skin. Those of us that have office jobs or jobs that aren't outside all the time, you could probably get away with less because your skin's gonna be less prone to being damaged. But I'm out in it every day, so I look after myself. So up to you guys, but I would suggest we all take at least sun cream. You could probably get away with sharing sun cream amongst our teams as well. That's in my deck bag. Again, some of that could go in a hatch, some of that could go in my buoyancy aid. It's just I've got my deck bag. And then on the front of my boat, I'm going to have my contact tow. Again, it's a guide thing. I'm not expecting everyone to have a contact tow. I'll have it. I'll probably use it. It's my most used bit of safety kit. And I feel naked without it. Pump, so a bilge pump to get water out of boats. So rescuing boats, if someone does fall in, getting them fully empty of loaded boats is really hard work, and I'd just rather not do it. So having some pumps amongst our team just mean that any dregs we've got in the cockpits, we can pump out so people aren't sat in puddles all day and in sloppy boats because they're full of water. And I'd imagine amongst our team we'll carry one between two. Other stuff on my boat, I'm going to take a spare paddle. I think the intermediate team going to the Lofoten, so the second team, they're all going to take 2 paddles each. 2 different types of paddles so that halfway through the day they can just use a different paddle and just a different feel and just change things up a little bit. I'll end up taking sort of a smaller blade and a bigger bladed paddle. So if we get kind of a windy sort of rougher section, I can get the bigger paddle out and sort of power my way through things. But then when we're just cruising and sort of I can up the cadence, I can use a smaller blade. So I'm going to take 2 paddles. If everyone wants to take 2 paddles, that's totally fine. We're going to take pretty much all the paddles out the stores anyway with us, so you can pick and choose what you want. I have got a couple of brand new paddles that I've got to flog. I've got some wares to flog at some point, which I'll let you know about. But yeah, if we take a couple of pairs of paddles each, it'll be handy. And we've always got paddles in case they break. Thermal cups. I'll just take a travel coffee cup. When we leave in the morning or when we leave from a lunch spot, I'll just fill it up with tea. So I've got sort of tea for the next couple of hours to keep me hydrated and warm. Really, I don't really need much warmth, but it's just I like a cup of tea. A water bottle with that for hydration, and I'll just keep a map handy with me. Again, Greenlanders, I'm not sure what your plan is, but Lofoteners, I've got a day at work. It's going to be the most boring day ever. But I am going to print and laminate maps of our whole trip. And I'm going to print and laminate enough maps that everybody can have a map every day and keep tabs on where we're going and just be involved in the navigation and the trip. So it'll end up being a massive pack of maps we take out, but we can put them on the front of the boat and everyone can sort of have a look at maps, especially when as a guide, I'm sort of pointing out areas or saying, have a look at this bit for a camp. What do we think? Instead of all trying to crowd over my boat, we've all got our own maps. And again, I'll just take them out with me, and they'll be there for everybody when you get to Lofoten. I assume Team Greenland, you're doing something very similar. Any questions so far on any kit? I haven't actually checked the chat function yet. Where's the chat? Oh, those are questions, isn't there?
I'm sorting out the chat, Dave. Don't worry.
Good.
Dave, can I ask about the compass?
Yeah.
Obviously, it's going to be the one that you strap round. Do we need them if we're for the beginners?
No. Or when I say compass, that's just a normal kind of hill walking compass.
Oh, so you don't mean one to? Right. I was thinking the one.
I will have with me. I think when we get onto the day hatch, I've got another compass, my deck compass.
Right, that's
I will have one of them
don't need that.
if we need to, paddle on a bearing for an open water crossing. But if we're doing that, we're probably in the wrong place. So I'll have one, Ollie will have one, and that's enough. That's enough between us. Ollie, was there anything I needed to look at in the chat, or are you all over it?
No, don't worry.
Cool. Feel free to interrupt at any point, sir. Cool. Then, so the day hatch is the little hatch that sits just behind the seat of the sea kayak. Those of us that are of a youth, I can spin around and I can dig in my day hatch and I can get anything I want out of my day hatch. Those of us that are a little bit more of a vintage, you might struggle to do that floating in the waves, but if some boats come together and hold on while you're digging around in your day hatch, or get someone else to dig in your day hatch for you, there's stuff that we can put in there that we can get to on the water if we need it, but it's not readily accessible. So again, stuff that I really need is either on the deck, in my buoyancy aid, or in my deck bag, and stuff that I might need less frequently on the water, or stuff that I'm going to need for lunch. So I haven't got to go rummaging through the bigger hatches, just goes in my day hatch behind me. And was that a question?
Yeah, sorry. In your day hatch, you've got carry straps. Are those something that we're going to bring, or something we'll pick up from PYB?
We'll take them. Yeah, they're essentially, I've cut up some old roof rack straps, and it means that we've just got extra holding points when we're carrying boats up a beach at the end of the day.
Yeah. Okay.
Instead of the toggle at front and back and just 2 people doing it, we can put some more attachment points on and 4 people do it, for example.
No, that's great. Thank you.
We used them on the training, didn't we, Pete? And Daniel.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll take a few pairs between us. They weigh nothing, but when we need them, they're really handy.
Okay, cool. Cheers.
Anyway, an airbag. So this is guiding stuff. I'll just carry a couple of airbags for if we did lose a hatch, for example, off a boat, or we put a hole in a boat, I can whack an airbag in the kind of the cavity to fill it, and you won't fill with water and sink. Sea kayaks don't tend to sink, but you get the metaphor. Carry straps, deck compass. Again, it's all just stuff I'll carry. I'll carry a first aid kit. I might not. We might dish it out between the team. Greenlanders, I'm not sure what you're going to do, but Lofoteners, we're going to carry as a team two of everything, in regards to first aid kits. So if we did end up having to split camps for some reason because we've got a small camp and someone needs to paddle round the corner to the next camp, so be it. We've got 2 first aid kits that we can split, and amongst the team we'll just split things. This is just a kind of a comprehensive list, but I won't be carrying everything. Rest assured for that.
Sorry to butt in, Dave. Can I just say I've got to go. I've just had an emergency phone call. My wife needs picking up. If you do this, I'll pick it up later if you put the thing on the thing.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, mate. Yeah.
No worries.
Okay. Thank you very much. Cheers, everybody. See you somewhere.
Bye.
Cool. So next bit I've got is I've called it a possibles pouch. Essentially, it's a little bag of things that just little things that get lost. And that's things like my head torch. It's like a spare compass. There's spare shoelaces in them. Not that we need them for paddling, but I use the same thing on the mountain. What else is in there? I've got a lighter. Just bits and pieces that get lost, like the little bits. They're just going to live in a little pouch, and if I need it, it's there. A repair kit. So again, we'll take 2 repair kits between us as teams. They'll be relatively comprehensive. Pete Cattrall's just been on holiday and broke his rudder on one of the days. So again, we're going to need just kit, because boats do break at times, and normally at times we at least want them to. So if we just got stuff to fix boats, we can do that. It takes up a bit of space, it weighs a little bit, but amongst the teams, it doesn't really matter. Then I'll carry a blizzard bag and a survival bag. Essentially, it's these are just extra spare sleeping bags, essentially. So we've got a bit of a redundancy amongst the teams. If someone's sleeping bag does get wet, which, you know, it does happen. Then we've got extras that people kind of, you know, we're not going to have a really uncomfortable night's sleep in a wet sleeping bag. We've got spares. And then I'm going to carry in my day hatch stuff for lunch. So if we're going to, you know, we stop for lunch, I haven't got to go rummaging through the bigger hatches. I'm going to carry a kettle, a cup, some bits to make a cup of tea. If I'm doing a hot lunch, you know, I might have soup, for example, just some soup that I can make. I'll carry my bag of lunch. So in the morning before I get on the water, I'm going to, you know, I'll make a little bag of my lunch. So it's there ready to go. I haven't got to go rummaging through my food to get stuff. Team Greenland, you might want to think, and you know, you'll be hammered with this on your training weekends, where you put stuff in relation to, you know, you don't want your chorizo smelling out your sleeping bag, because the bear is going to smell your chorizo on your sleeping bag. So this list is a Lofoten list, not a Greenland list. Just bear that in mind. Then also in there is going to be, I've called it a lunch jacket. Essentially, that's the mountaineers will call it a belay jacket. It's a puffy, warm jacket that I can put on top of everything. So if it is cold and when we stop for lunch, I can just put an insulation jacket on. If Ollie stands up and sort of does a twirl, he's wearing a belay jacket. So couple of sizes too big, that you can just put on. If it gets wet, it doesn't really matter, but it's better to be warm. And in there, I'll have just a set of gloves and a hat. Again, I'm just preparing for the eventuality that it's cold, but I'm hoping that it won't be. I'll also have in my day hatch a tarp. So if we did stop and it was raining, and no one wants to sit out and eat their lunch in the rain, Ollie is really good at putting tarps up. He'll string us up a tarp, and we can all sit underneath. It's a massive tarp, by the way. It's 5 meters by 5 meters. It's like a cannonball, this thing, but it means we can put it up. We can all sit out of the rain, and actually enjoy lunch and enjoy where we are, rather than kind of just throwing food down our necks and getting back on the water and not really resting properly, which you know, that's what lunch is for. And I'll also carry in there a gilet. So the gilet for me is, if it's a bit cold in the afternoon, I can put another layer on, and I quite like a gilet to wear under my paddling kit. You know, if I am a little bit cold getting back on after lunch, I can just put another layer on, and that'll do me for the afternoon. And I'll probably end up taking it off in an hour or two, but that's okay. That just lives in there. Any questions on any of that coming through, Ollie? Nothing on the chat?
No, nothing at the moment.
Anything from anyone? No, cool. Right. Then I'm on to my bit. In fact, let's skip on to the cockpit. You know, the bit where I sit, that bit does get wet. So anything I put in there, I don't mind getting wet. So in there is going to go my paddle float, and that'll just tuck behind the seat. If you're not sure what a paddle float is, just wait for the training weekend. Paddle float's going to be really important, and everyone is going to carry a paddle float. I'm also going to carry as a guide a spare tow line, again tucked behind my seat. That is mainly for if I've used my tow line for something, instead of having to repack it to reuse it, I'm just going to throw the unpacked tow line in my boat and just grab myself a new one. So I'm ready to rock and roll. Again, I'm not going to make everyone carry 2 tow lines. That's overkill. That's just what I do. And I'm lucky enough to have 2 tow lines. I'm also going to carry in my cockpit water. So I'm going to carry a bag, so a ready-made water bag. So it's a 4-liter bag that I can fill with water at every opportunity. And it's going to sit in my cockpit, nice and central, low center of gravity. If it gets wet, it doesn't matter, because it's, you know, it's a waterproof bag that's got water in it. And I can move it around my cockpit if I need to sort of adjust my trim in my boat a little bit as well. You know, one of the things we will do as Team Lofoten, and I think probably Team Greenland will do the same, is at all times try and carry 5 liters of water. Everyone carry 5 liters of water. And if we use a bit and we get the opportunity to fill up, we'll just fill up. That's mainly for if we get to a camp and the water source isn't very good, or we get to camp and there is no water source, 5 litres is enough to do the evening, the morning, most of the next day, until we get somewhere to fill up. So again, these water bags, Plaza Brennan will have, so don't go out and buy them unless you want to. So don't worry, we'll take them and everyone will just have a 4 or 5 litre bag. I'm going to carry a 4 litre bag and then an Nalgene bottle as well. Oh, so you have to excuse me, my log burner's been on and it is roasty toasty in here. I'm sweating right now. I don't know if you can see my flushed face. I'm also going to carry in my cockpit, ladies, I'm not sure how you're going to do this, but I'm going to carry a pee bottle because I drink a lot of tea. I've got a bladder of the size of a walnut. And if I need to separate myself from the group and have a wee in my bottle and tip it out into the sea, then that's what I'll do. Ladies, there are ways of doing it. I don't know those ways. You might have to do a bit of research. Lou Beetlestone will know if you want to ask her at a later date. But for me, that's important. I did say on a previous call that would never be more than 2 hours from a stopping point, and I will agree with that, but I can't go 2 hours without that stop if I need it, if I've drunk a lot of tea that day. And the other thing that I'll carry in my cockpit is a kit bag. So at the end of the day, when I'm walking up a beach, I think Doug wrote this in his blog, an IKEA bag. So instead of juggling 10 or 12 dry bags up a beach, I can put all my dry bags and all my bits and pieces in an IKEA bag, carry it up the beach, and then come back down for my next load. And that just lives against stuffed behind my seat out the way. And that's totally fine. The other little bit that if you're how do I put this politically correctly? If you're short, you have a little bit of extra space the other side of the footrest in your kayak, which is great for packing things in. So Doug wrote in his blog, so Doug's not the tallest of people. Doug puts his tent in front of his feet, tucked in, stuffed in. It doesn't, it crams in so it doesn't, fall out the boat if he has a capsize. And he puts that in a really rugged, really robust dry bag. And his tent lives there. And if the tent does get wet, it's not the end of the world because tents get wet when it rains. So they are meant to get wet. But if you're not as tall as Pete and Ollie are, then and Kev, there's a little bit of extra packing space for you there, which is really handy because it just frees up a little bit of extra space for some luxuries. Questions so far, Ollie? Anything?
No, nothing at the moment, Dave.
No. You're going to go 10 litres for Greenland, Danny? Yeah. I would suggest 2 5s. So if you 10 breaks, at least you've got a 5. If you 10 breaks, you're buggered. If you've got 2 5s, you've got a bit of redundancy. I know Pete has just brought a load of the Sea to Summit ones. I use the MSR one. What I'll do is you have to remind me, but I'll just ping them on the group. Or Ollie can now find and just ping onto the group.
Right.
The MSR geometry bag is the one I use. It's super robust. I've had it for about 6 years and it's brilliant.
Right. Okay. Thanks. Okay.
Right then, onto my hatches. So I split my bits. So anything that is for camping and my tent and my area goes in one hatch at the back of my boat, and anything that is for cooking and eating and food in the kitchen area goes in my front hatch. So Team Greenland, this will be good for you. So you're not contaminating scents in your different parts because your camp and your kitchen will be 100 meters apart. Is that what they've said?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, it'll be a decent way apart. And that separation, if I'm in bear country, that counts as my boat as well, because scents travel and the dry bags aren't scent proof. They do move around, so I just have that extra little bit. The only downside with that is as you eat through your food, one of the hatches becomes a lot lighter. So my trick to you is, my top tip to you is that water bag, as you eat through your food, goes into the front hatch and just creates that ballast in the front hatch and just levels out your boat. There you go. And it's
Good tip. Thank you.
But just again, bear in mind, Pete and Ollie will have their spin on things as well. You know, it's why there's 4 or 5 of us, guides delivering all this training, is because you'll get 4 or 5 different ideas, and you can pick and choose your favorite. But don't forget, I'm always right. Right, in my front hatch, very simple. My camping stove, my pots and pans, my frying pan. I like to cook on trips, and I like to cook food, real food. I know, for example, quite a lot of the Photon team and the Greenland team, you're going to take just dehydrated food, aren't you? So you don't, you're not going to be cooking in polar bear country. But I'm going to take bits to cook, and I'm going to take pots and pans, and some seasoning, and I'm going to take some utensils and a nice chef's knife and things like that, because I will like to cook as well on trips. If you are settling with fire pot meals and a jet boil, then so be it. That's for you. Just have a system that works for you.
Sorry, quick question on the stove.
Yeah.
Is it recommended you take a meth attachment and a gas attachment?
Are you thinking for a Trangia?
Something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you and Chrissy might have missed. Johnny went through this on one of the original chats we had. You and Chrissy might have missed this. Gas is really easy to buy out in Norway.
Okay.
And we can get away with sort of maybe 3 of the big gas canisters for the time we're out.
Yeah.
And we can just buy that in Bodo before we go on the trip. So gas is totally fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. I'm going to take 2 stoves. So I'm going to take a smaller stove for my lunch stove that is just for boiling water and soup. And I'm going to take a sort of a more substantial stove for cooking in the evening. But again, I like to cook. And you can get away with 1 stove. I'm just taking 2 because I've got to, and I like to cook. Other stuff, so a bowl and a cup. I don't really like eating out of the pot that I've cooked the food in. I don't really like doing that, and again, it's just my preference. But you can do away with the bowl if you don't mind eating out of your pot you've cooked it in. Another cup. I end up taking quite a lot of cups. Again, I'll probably end up doing some baking, so I might use the cup for sort of mixing dough and things like that together. Water filter. So I'm not going to take a water filter to get to Norway. I am fairly confident in my immune system, and I'm very confident in the cleanliness of the water of where we're going, that I'm not going to filter it. And if the needs be, I can boil it. If you want to take a water filter and you'd feel more comfortable filtering water, who would I be to stop you? Do it, and I can give recommendations on filters. But I'm not going to take one. But I can't recommend that you do all that. Well, I recommend that you do, but I'm not taking one. Read into that how you will. Seasoning my food, drinks. Now drinks, anything from hot chocolate, teas, squash. I like to drink some squash. I'll probably end up taking some sort of electrolyte powder as well. And again, I don't know about Team Greenland, but Team Norway, if those drinks involve a little bottle of whiskey or some stubby cans of lager, that's entirely up to you. We will have a hard and fast rule that once we've drunk, that's it. We are at camp and we're not doing anything else. But it's quite nice to sit around, watch the sunset with a little stubby can of lager. But that's down to you. I would recommend not buying spirits in Norway. Utensils, and then cleaning stuff. We'll get more into cleaning stuff when we get into the leave no trace bit shortly. But I'm going to carry some bits to clean pots and pans and my utensils and bowl and things like that. A washing up bowl, really important. In teams, we are going to take washing up bowls, and we will use washing up bowls rather than just washing our pots and pans in a stream. And I'll link onto that later. I might take a table. I'm not sure. I've got a little collapsible table that I like to take to cook on. But again, it's just me being a little bit soft and liking my comforts. I've got on there fire lighting box. Not going to take my fire lighting box because we're not having fires out in Norway. See Ollie's face has just dropped. He can't take his axe. But there's a voluntary ban on campfires in the summer in Lofoten, and we have to stick to that. Team Greenland, I don't know. I can't imagine you're going to have campfires. I don't think there's any trees in Greenland. Right then, last hatch. Oh, I'm warm. I need to turn the fire down a little bit. I'm going to carry my tents. So I'm going to carry my outer and my inner. I'm going to carry them separate. If the outer's wet and I pack it in with my inner, then it then gets the inner wet throughout the day. So I just put them in 2 different dry bags. And it means that I can take my inner tent down whilst the outer tent's still up, pack it up so it's dry, and then just stuff the outer tent in wet. And it might be that at lunchtime we get a break from the rain and it's a little bit windy and I can get my outer tent out to dry. But I just pack them in 2 different areas. I might take a tarp as well, just to kind of extend a bit of a porch off my tent if I want. If it's going to be wet, it's nice to sit out and sort of, at least be outside rather than stuck in a tent. And I've got a little tarp that I can take, that I can rig up with my tent. I'm still undecided whether I'm going to take a bigger tent or I'm going to take a smaller tent and a tarp, but up to you guys. I think the people we've had on training weekends already, you're fairly settled with what tent you're taking. But again, just ask questions. You ask questions now, ask questions on the WhatsApp groups about tents. I class myself as a bit of a tent geek. Pegs and poles, separate bags, because they pack really nicely at the ends of the sea kayak that nothing else goes into. It does mean you've got to have really long arms to reach them, so we'll have to ask Ollie to reach them for us. But they just pack right out the way, and you don't notice they're there. And you just fill in those extra gaps. Then I'm going to take a foam roll mat and an inflatable roll mat. I've put holes in inflatable roll mats far too many times. The weight of a foam roll mat is nothing, just to kind of make sure that I'm not putting holes in my roll mat. But again, I'm there for a whole month. The chances of putting a hole in a roll mat's quite high. If you wanted to risk it for a biscuit, you're more than welcome to. But I'm gonna take a foam roll mat. And then sleeping stuff. So an inflatable mat, my sleeping bag. I'm going to take some clothes to sleep in. Now those clothes will also act as a different weight of thermal. So if I wanted to paddle in a slightly lighter thermal, I could wear what would be my pajamas, but they're just lighter thermals. And they stay dry, tucked away in my sleeping bag. But if we get a warm period and I think my thermals I'm wearing are too hot and I'm as hot as I am right now, I can get my lighter thermals out of my sleeping bag and then wear them. I've also got a little blow up little widget. You can get them off Amazon. They're really cheap and really small, but they blow up my air mat. Again, one of the things I can't stand is sitting for 3 or 4 minutes trying to blow up my air mat at the end of a long day. I'd rather just press a button and it'd be inflated in 20 seconds. Then I'm also going to carry with me some camp clothes, and these are just what I would class as normal outdoor clothes that I can wear around camp. So I can take my paddling stuff on, and I can wear, a fleece and a pair of outdoor trousers and a pair of outdoor shoes around camp and just feel comfortable instead of staying in my smelly, potentially damp paddling kit all evening. I can completely change. I'm also going to carry a set of waterproof top and bottoms as well. So if it's a bit drizzly at camp, my camp clothes aren't getting wet. And again, I haven't got to wear my paddling kit all the time. Wash bag, toilet kit. Again, Team Greenland, my wash bag and my toileting kit and my toothpaste would not be in with my tent. It would be in with my kitchen stuff. But, it goes in my tent stuff for Lofoten. Some battery packs and a solar charger just to recharge things like my phone, or like any other bits like electronics that we need. If you've got enough battery packs that you can survive, or you're not going to use your phone, that's okay. But it's quite important that as guides we're using our phones to stay in contact with home, stay in contact with Plaza Brennan, to keep an eye on where we're going. So I'm just going to carry means of recharging devices. Then I've got pills and creams, so things like ibuprofen, paracetamol, nappy rash cream is really important for sea kayak trips, because you end up just sitting in a puddle all day long potentially. You know, especially if dry trousers leak a little bit, you end up just with rashes. I'll put in there some talcum powder. So if I do end up with wet feet, I can dry them nicely with talcum powder. I'll take some ibuprofen cream, just bits like that. That just means that, you know, day after day of paddling, I can just feel that little bit more comfortable and just heal for the next day. And I've got that as a personal thing, so I don't have to go, you know, digging through a big first aid kit to get those bits. So you might have some personal things, you might have some personal medication, you might have, you know, things that you like to take, sort of comforts and, you know, creams. You know, you might like to, you know, Ollie's going to take his hair gel, for example. You know, just things like that, just to kind of, you know, make yourself feel a little bit more comfortable and help the healing for the next day. Definitely I'm going to carry as well in that some what's it called? It's not sun cream, it's the other one, after sun. Cool. Any questions on any of that? That's pretty much what I'm going to take to Lofoten. If I went to Greenland, it'd be pretty much exactly what I took to would take to Greenland as well. I just might pack it in a slightly different way. Does anyone got any thoughts? Feel free to critique this, because if it's any blinding mistakes I'm making, I'd like to know now rather than sort of 2 weeks into Lofoten.
This is cool. Cheers, Dave.
Yeah. Again, Team Greenland, I can send you this, and you're more than welcome to edit it to how you are. And what I do is I laminate this, and I keep it in a hatch. So when I'm worried, you know, and when I get a little bit flustered, I don't know where something is, I can look at this and I know exactly what hatch it's packed in. I think Doug on his blog gave the top tip of actually write on the dry bags with a Sharpie what's in each dry bag. Dry bags and everything, they all end up looking the same. And you know, instead of feeling like a kid on Christmas trying to feel what's in your present, you can kind of go, that's my sleeping bag. I know it's my sleeping bag because it says sleeping bag on it. And you have a system and a process. The training weekends we've got coming up, you know, we will spend a good half a day inside packing boats. So we haven't got to, you know, the first time do it, you know, in the rain outside. We'll do it inside. We'll pack, we'll unpack, we'll pack, we'll move stuff around. We'll just come up with systems that work for you as an individual. Cool. There's a question in the chat, which is Ollie putting on the link to the geometry bag. Cool. Any other questions from anyone? Or should we move on to Steve and Trace? Cool. Right. New share. I need to share this one. So,
Ask,
say again, sorry.
how many dry bags do you think you need?
Oh, tell you what, let me go back to that list so I can count really quickly for you. I've lost the list. Where's the list gone? There it is. So, can everyone see my cursor?
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a dry bag for, I'm going to have one for my storm cag. No, it's not, because that's in a dry bag. That's in my deck bag, and that's a dry bag. I'm going to have one for a first aid kit. I'm going to have one for my lunch jacket and hat and gloves. My tarp and gilet will be in a dry bag. But these are all things you don't have to carry. These are all just their guide bits, really. You know, if you wanted a gilet, you could just put it in a small dry bag. My tent and inner tent will go in 2 dry bags. My tarp might or might not go in a dry bag. Poles and pegs don't need to go in a dry bag. The foam roll mat doesn't need to go in a dry bag. And then these bits will go. So my sleeping mat and my sleeping bag and my sleeping clothes will go in a dry bag and then another dry bag. So I've just got that little extra security. So I've just double bagged them. You know, I trust the dry bags, but I don't trust them enough to risk a wet night's sleep. And just bear in mind with dry bags is you get dry bags and you get dry bags. You know, if you went on Amazon and bought the cheapest dry bags you can, they're definitely not. They're going to leak. I can you know, I can give good recommendations for the Peak UK dry bags. Ollie and I have used them on trips. Ortlieb make dry bags. They're quite, you know, they're quite heavy and quite robust, but that's a good thing. Yeah, I wouldn't buy the sort of the flimsiest, cheapest thing you can buy. I would buy something that's a little bit kind of more substantial, because no one wants a wet night's sleep.
Dave, it's
Yeah.
Susie. Can I ask a quick question on dry bags? Because I've got quite a lot for sort of mountaineering
Yeah.
purposes and stuff. So are they okay for paddling, or do you need the more robust? Because I've seen some Ortley ones that are like rubber, and I'm not quite sure which ones are best to use.
You got the so essentially the lightweight nylon mountaineering ones are good as a barrier for rain, and if you drop your rucksack in a river and get it out really quickly. The Ortley ones are, you know, they're clearly more robust and more waterproof, and they will happily take a dunking for a whole day.
Okay, cool.
The other option is to double up on the lightweight ones.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Now bear in mind, all the stuff's going to be in a dry hatch, but hatches do leak. That is a rarity, and it's also a relatively, you know, if you've sealed a dry bag well and you've got good dry bags, it's a rarity that they leak. So the kind of the risk of your stuff getting wet is pretty low now. But for my sleeping bag, at least, it's going to go in 2 dry bags in the hatch. Just because no one wants a wet night's sleep.
Thanks.
Cool. Any more? Feel free before we move on. Right then.
There's just a question in the chat box about types of boats we're using in Lofoten. I think that's the question. How they compare to Scorpio LVs.
Cool. I will be honest, and I'll say I don't know what boats they've got in Lofoten. He's got loads. Ollie and I are going to go out a couple of days before everybody and make sure that we've got the right boats for the right people. So I don't know is the answer. They might not, you know, there might be, if you're lucky, an LV Scorpio, and you know, people can fight over the boats as long as they want. But they might end up being a little bit more sort of, you know, wider, more stable, less maneuverable boats with rudders, which isn't a problem because they still perform really well. They're just different boats. Does that answer your question, Danny? Cool. I'll assume yes. Right then. Can everybody see a nice picture of Lofoten?
Yeah.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Just going to scroll down now. I've got a few videos to play. Typically, videos over Zoom, if my internet's not great, come through a little bit jerky. If they are, just jump on the mic and just say stop, and I can just share the videos at a later date and just do some of the talking. But leave no trace. For me, I'm quite passionate about it. I'm a big believer in it because you know, my job is being outside, and I just can't stand litter, and I just can't stand places looking like they're used and they're getting abused. You know, I did a litter pick on Snowdon last year, and bear in mind I was meant to be leading this litter pick. I picked up 70 bags of dog poo. And admittedly, Snowdon's a very different place to where we're going. But I want us as groups of British sea kayakers going out there. I want us to do things right. I want us to do it well, and it to be a place that we can go back to. Be a place that isn't just spoiled by, you know, Brits abroad in Spain sort of thing. So I'll run through it. Then I just want to have a chat about kind of how that is actually going to look for us in Lofoten. Some of the bits might actually be, you know, be a bit squirmy when we start talking about some toileting. But I'm passionate about it. I believe in it. I want you to be passionate and believe in it. And if it does mean, you know, carrying our toilet paper with us for 10 days, then so be it. But we'll get onto that. Cool. Can everyone see this?
Yep.
Yeah. And hopefully the video will play.
Hi.
Is that playing for everyone?
No, not
No.
at the moment.
No. Okay. Let's try that again. There we go. Can everyone see some eyes?
Okay. I'm told I'm one of the most popular around here. And some say my beauty is breathtaking.
Got no sound, Dave.
No sound. No sound.
Lifetime.
Ah,
Maybe you have just a few weeks vacay, and you finally get to travel to that Arctic paradise way up north to stay wild, feel free, explore stunning views, and maybe even to get that perfect Instagram pic. That's tempting, isn't it? But take a moment and look at me. I mean, look closely. My beauty has taken millions of years to establish, but it will take only a few years to destroy. Please, when you leave nothing but footprints. Because it's the small things that makes difference. And you know what? If you're there for me, I'll be here for you.
Cool. That was where you proposed, wasn't it, Ollie? He's not listening. Ollie, was it that peak that you proposed on?
The quality wasn't great for me, Dave. I don't know how it was for everyone else.
No, could barely hear it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I will forgo the videos then, and I'll just link the videos to other things. So, in Scandinavia, they have a it's not really a law, it's more of a kind of just a generic thing in their culture. And I shan't butcher the pronunciation, but it's that word there. And that essentially translates to us as a right to roam. It's very similar to how we have it in Scotland, but it's a right to roam with a few rules to it. And the rules are
You're not, Dave, you're not sharing your screen anymore.
Oh, of course I'm not, dearie me. Cheers, Alice. Anyway, sorry. That word. If anyone wants to try and butcher a Scandinavian word, feel free, but I shan't. So yeah, only camping on uncultivated land. That totally makes sense. Camp more than 150 meters from the nearest building. Now that can be quite hard. So again, they've not defined building, and when I go to Norway or Sweden, you do inevitably end up camping close to fishing huts and things like that aren't used. But if we have this rule in the back of our heads, if it is a used place where it's someone's house, we will just go further away. And you know what? If we're close enough that they can see us, we'll ask permission. Normally, it's totally okay, but I'd rather ask. Only camp for 2 nights in the same location. So we may at some point set a base camp and do a sort of a day out from a base camp. But then we'll move on. And then leave no trace. So leave no trace is a kind of, it's more of a culture originated from America. It's quite heavily used out in their outdoor education, less so in the UK. But it's a set of principles. Can everyone see this? So principles being simply plan ahead and prepare. Travel and camp on durable surfaces. That's quite key. And we'll dive into each of these principles shortly. Dispose of waste properly. Leave what you find. Minimize campfire impact. Well, that doesn't matter. We're not having campfires. Respect wildlife. And then just be considerate of other visitors. So planning ahead, we've spent a good year and a half planning. We're getting all our kit right. We're making sure that everything we're taking is right for what we need. But little things like, properly located campsites, repackaging our food. So that first day in Bodo, once we've shopped, we'll get rid of all the packaging and we'll just slim down what we're taking. So we're not dealing with cardboard boxes from day one on day 5. We'll just reduce all the waste we're taking with us, so we don't have to carry it, because we will have to carry it. And just be good at what we do, really. Being good at what we do limits the impact on the environment. So camp on durable surfaces, that's pretty simple. Sensitive areas like marron grass, areas where, if we did camp, the footprint of the tent would show in a few days' time, we'll camp somewhere else. So keeping campsites small. If it's in a high use area, I'm hopefully we're not going to be in high use areas. If we're in remote areas, we'll spread out, so it doesn't look like a campsite if someone stumbles across it in a day or two's time. We'll take, if we're walking around the camp, we'll just take different paths instead of sort of, walking the straightest line from one tent to the other. We'll just walk different ways, so paths don't start existing. And we'll just choose, durable surfaces like rock, like gravel, like dry grass. Definitely not snow. Greenland, you might have some snow. But instead of putting our tents on sensitive areas. Here we go, disposal of waste. Can be a bit of a squirmy subject, but we're going to talk about it. Greenland, again, I don't know what you're going to do in Greenland. That's down to Pete and Ollie. But in Lofoten, between the teams, we will carry some trowels that look like this. And we'll put them in some sandwich bags probably, and then probably a sandwich bag into a dry bag. But if you do it right, poo should never touch the trowel. The trowel's just for digging a hole. 6 to 8 inches deep. Typically the trowels are that depth, that length, so it's a good measure. And you poo in the hole. As simple as that. Then any toilet paper we'll take away with us. We won't bury it like some people do. We won't burn it like we would in some places. We'll take it with us. And how we're going to do that is maybe an individual thing, or maybe in pairs. Kev, Chrissy, will really test how close you guys are together. Everyone's going to buy a cheap Nalgene bottle, so a wide neck litre bottle, and wrap it in gaffer tape so you can't see what's inside it. And once you've had your poo and you've wiped, you put your toilet paper in there, and for the next few days you just fill it up. And it seals, it screws up, the scent doesn't escape from there. And then when we get back to civilization, we just put that whole lot in the bin. And I'd imagine some people are going, ugh, but that's what we're doing. And I've got a map of where all the public toilets are around where we're going, we will use those opportunities. But if you don't poo for the whole trip, you'll be really poorly. And we need to do this properly. So 200 meters away from water sources, away from areas of kind of sensitive areas, dig our hole, and take out what we need. Take out the toilet paper, take out any sanitary products in our Nalgene. If you're like Ollie and you use a lot of toilet paper, take 2 Nalgenes. Another one, this video is quite good. I won't show it, I'll just link it on some groups, is toothpaste. Toothpaste is one thing that just lasts on the ground for ages around normal campsites. So the Americans call it the backcountry spray. I shan't give it away. I'll send the link out on the WhatsApp groups, but we will be using the backcountry spray. And again, same with water. So I said we're definitely all going to take washing up bowls. And once we've washed up, we're going to strain that water out of the washing up bowl through a tea strainer. So again, we're all going to take tea strainers so that any food waste doesn't end up on the ground. All that ends up on the ground is slightly murky water, and we'll spread it around an area. So it's not all concentrated to one place, away from a water source, away from sensitive areas. If there's any questions with this, just ask. I appreciate I'm sort of telling what we're going to do, but I am quite strict about this, and I do want us to do this right. If it does mean taking extra stuff, if it does mean a little bit extra work for us, then so be it. So leave what you find. That's pretty, you know, common. There shouldn't be any discussions with this. You know, there's gonna be on the photo, there's gonna be artifacts, there's gonna be you know, rock sculptures, there's gonna be things that have been there for a long time. You know, if we start moving things around or start altering things, then it just ruins it for other people. You know, it's kind of the most cliche saying in the outdoors is, you know, take photos, leave footprints, or some iteration of that, but it's true. It's true. Campfires, we're not going to worry about. Again, Greenland, I'm not sure we're going to worry about campfires either. You know, if we do end up on a remote random beach with a fire pit that looks like it's been there for a long time and is not going anywhere, and there happens to be loads of really dry driftwood, we might convince Ollie to give us a fire. But other than that, we just don't need them. Respecting wildlife, you know, the Greenland team, I would suggest you don't go sort of chasing polar bears for photos and things like that. Us in Lofoten, you know, we will stay away from, you know, there are Arctic birds, there are whale, you know, the Arctic foxes are there. We will, you know, not encourage them by leaving food out, and we'll just do things right. Never feed the wildlife. We don't have to worry about hanging stuff for bears. Team Greenland, if the bear's getting your food, it's getting the food, you're going hungry. We haven't got to worry about bears in the Lofoten, other than Pete snoring. And just other visitors. So, you know, I'd like to think we're going to go places where we won't see anyone, but we might end up sharing a camp spot with another sea kayaking group. We'll just be nice people, and we are all nice people. That's why we're, you know, it's why we've had the invite to come. But we don't want to taint their experience either. So if they want to be sociable with us, then we can be sociable with them. But if they want to keep themselves to themselves, then so be it. We'll keep ourselves to ourselves as well. Perfect. Any questions on any of that? I appreciate I came across as a very kind of strict teacher vibe, but you know, I do believe in it. You know, if you want to talk more about the sort of the toileting hygiene bit at another time or individually, we can do. You know, if we want a demonstration from Ollie on one of the training weekends, ask for that. But you know, it's part and parcel of expeditioning. Is pooing in a hole, I'm afraid. It happens. And you know, I won't shy away from this. If we are in really sensitive areas, or if we're in areas where it's quite a well-used camp spot for sea kayakers, it might be that we don't dig a hole, is we take our poo out to sea and drop it out at sea, and it sinks and the whales eat it. You know, and we'll be prepared for that, but we'll be prepared for that with you know, doggy bags and things like that.
That's good, Dave. Thanks.
Yeah.
Dave, I noticed that the kayaks were doubles. I'm not sharing a kayak with Kev.
No, I wouldn't want to put that on it. I wouldn't want to put that on you. That's fine. Jan has got double kayaks. You know, if as a team we wanted to take a double kayak, we could. You know, they're quite handy for if people are having a bad day, or if people want like a nice easier day. And they're good stable platforms to put loads of kit in. But if we all want individual kayaks, we've got them as well. They're chats to have as a team as we get closer. Yeah, but I'd share a tandem with you, Trissy.
You wouldn't for long.
You might regret it.
Good. Well, that's all I've got for you. If there are any questions, ask them. I'll tell you what I'll do now is I'll stop the recording. So any questions that you want to ask,